work on the education team at Stone Group. Stone Group have been working in the education and public sector for over 25 years. We provide all sorts of solutions, and in order to do that, we work with quite a few partners. One of the latest partners that we've on board with is Avantis Education. They've been in the industry for over 10 years as well, I think. Yeah, about 10 years or so. And they've got two sort of emerging technologies which we're really keen on working with them. And I'm going to introduce you and let Paul Gray take over and talk to you about a couple of those technologies. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you everybody hear me okay? Yeah, that's good. I'll try not to shout too loud. So thank you, Azim, and thank you, Chris, for coming along today. So I'm here to talk to you guys about a couple of products that we've released in the last 6 months. Obviously, we've been in education since 2006, and we already manufacture Android tablets for schools, and we also do big 75-inch screens as well. But I'm here today to talk to you about our Classbook solution, but also an integrated VR headset as well. I know the last session by the guys at Haptic was really good, so it'll be a good contrast for you to see the difference between the two, I think. I'll start with the Classbook. So, as I said before, traditionally we've been working on we've been working with tablets in the past, and these were called LearnPads, and we still manufacture these tablets. They're called LearnPad workbooks now. We ventured into the Classbook market purely because we find that so many schools that we deal with, whether they're at primary or at secondary or further education, kind of looking more to this solution, especially if we've done some migration to the cloud. So I don't know, in your schools here, how many in your schools have you got cloud accounts set up for the students? Yes, so there's quite a few nodding heads there. So I guess you've gone down 365 or Google, obviously one of those two. So that was, yeah, no? Or both, okay. So that's the trend that obviously we could see was coming at some point. So the Classbook is a really neat solution. So we've built upon some of the features of our Android tablets in that these devices, click on that one, are wireless. Sorry, come here.
There's a clicker. Yes.
Which one?
That's left and right.
Oh,
sides.
Cool.
You got it?
No, it seems to be.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Right,
second, this thing is called standby. Right now.
Slick. Can I just do it on the screen here? Does it have to be through the clicker?
There we go. Voice now.
On this one?
Yes.
Okay.
If you stand away.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so slick presentation. So wireless charging. So the devices, they can be charged normally with a pin and obviously with a cable. But actually in schools, the solution we found with the tablets around wireless charging has been really popular because we know that cables get broken so easily and you have those spaghetti wires when you store them into cabinets. So we've modified our LearnPad tablet trolley. It's called a Tectus. It comes in a 16 bay, it's portable, it's lockable, and literally the units just slide in and they charge. From flat, it will take about 9 hours to charge up. The battery life on these is really good. It's got a quad-core processor on it, it's got 4 gig of RAM, it's got 32 gig of storage, it's got a 2 megapixel front camera on it. The device itself has a skin on it which can be etched, so for security reasons some schools like to etch onto the device, so you can etch your security details into the bottom of it as well. It comes with Windows 10 Home Edition. Obviously with your volume licensing you can then upgrade it if you wanted to. I've got some schools that want to push out their own virtual client to it, so you can do that as well. It doesn't have an Ethernet port, but it does have an SD card slot. It has 2 USB slots on there as well, and a micro HDMI. So the cost for this is £199. So, you know, when we first brought it up, we called it the Chromebook killer, because we wanted to come in with a solution that came with Windows that met some of these sort of failings perhaps that Chromebooks don't have, and some of the functionality which would work in schools. So we think with wireless charging, that size screen comes with Windows. It's a pretty good offering at £199. Okay, so I've got some of the text pads here, so I've got this in my bag at the back, so you can see me afterwards. So, you know, I know you guys are all tech guys, so you want to know a bit more about the tech solution. So it's got a quad-core processor in there. Instead, it's got 32 gigs storage. It's dual-band Wi-Fi. It's not triple-band Wi-Fi. It's dual-band Wi-Fi on these. It's obviously got a headphone jack in there, and it's about 1,500 grams in terms of the weight. So it's a good, solid device for schools. And quite typically, when you put them in secondary schools, they tend to be buying 16 sets of 16. Sorry, yeah?
You said it's got no Ethernet port. Can you confirm that there are any USB to Ethernet adapters that definitely work with it?
So yes, there are. So yeah, you can push out through a USB and push an image out through that way as well. We found that, you know, for some schools they've said to us, well, 32 gigs is a bit small in terms of the profile I want to push out. But actually, when we've lent them a Classbook to put it actually in and push out that image, they kind of said, you know what, we can make this work, and you can find your way through it. So ideally, you'd have a full Ethernet port in there, so you could do that image transfer very easily. But other than that, it's a really good solid device, I think. Okay. So anyone else got any other questions? There's only so much you can talk about in terms of the Classbook, but in terms of the features, I think the wireless charging is a big benefit to schools. We get a lot of positive feedback about that. The speed of it's a dual-core processor in here, 1.9. So it's fast enough. This is my work laptop. It's got a good battery life on it. If it's flat, as I said, it'll take about 9 hours overnight to charge up and the wireless charger. Obviously quicker if you've got it plugged in with the cord. Yeah. So the 16-bay unit, that's $599. But we do a bundle where you buy 16, obviously it works out a little bit cheaper to do that. And you know, it's a modular design, so if you know, I've got a school in Derbyshire that are wanting 32, so they wanted it stackable, so we can make it stackable and modular as well if you wanted it to. But typically in a secondary classroom, it tends to be 16 workbooks per classroom. We've been kitting out boards and Classbooks as well. It tends to be 16 that they want to go for. Yeah.
Is it plans for a 60 parking version?
So there are plans. We're talking to Microsoft at the moment. We're not the only company talking to Microsoft, so it's not. We'd obviously like to extend the storage on it, but it's an OEM thing with Microsoft. But we are talking to them at the moment. And ideally, it would be 120 gig on, but you know, it is what it is. But I think as a cloud device where students have got their own student accounts in Google or 365, it's perfect. And if you want to push out your own virtual client, even better. Really, you don't have to worry about Windows. Anyone's got any other questions? Okay, we'll come and see myself or Waz in afterwards, and I can show you in a bit more detail. I have got some information at the back of my bag, so I can leave that with you if you want to take some away. But I want to talk to you now about the ClassVR. So, let me just skip on. Okay, so we've been working on ClassVR for about 2 years now, and I think if I was to, if you look at the work I do in schools, probably 80% of the work since BEC has all been around ClassVR. It certainly is, if you like, the new kid on the block. And the guys at Haptic talked about it. Well, is it a gimmick? I think that's up for debate. But for us, we could see VR as being one of the next best things in education, one of the things that's going to come up in education and be part of our lives, because VR is already there in commerce. It maybe hasn't made the jump into the consumer market, but it certainly has made the jump into the commercial stream of things. So it's used for anything from car mechanics to a lot of neurosurgeons are all being trained using these. My next door neighbour at home in London is an architect, and he saw me carrying in the charging case not too long ago. And he said, "What have you got in there, Paul?" I said, "Oh, it's a snake." He said, "No, it's not a snake. What is it?" I said, "Oh, these are ClassVR headsets." And he said, "Oh, right, so we already use those in work." I said, "All right, what do you use them for?" He said, "Well, when we're doing a building in Tokyo at the moment, It's like a multi-million-pound thing with grass on the roof and all sorts of stuff. And they have regular review meetings with clients. So part of that review meeting is that they work out and do a virtual reality experience of the latest designs that they've done, so the client can put it on and then wander through using the technology. So there are lots and lots of other examples as well. That I think every week I speak to different people and there's something new come up about ClassVR. It's really interesting. So the unit itself contains a tablet, because we already manufacture Android tablets, so it's no surprise that this has got an integrated tablet that sits in the middle. And it's 16 gig of storage, so there's plenty of room on there. There's also a camera at the front, because these not only support VR, but they also support AR as well. At the bottom, you've got a headphone jack, you've got an internal microphone, you've got an SD card slot should you want to extend the storage. I think with 16 gig, most schools are probably not going to need to do that. There's a USB in there as well, so you know, I often get asked about, well, can I attach a hand controller to it? Will a hand controller work? So yeah, it'll work with a USB cabled controller at the moment. We're obviously working on further developments, which I'll talk to you in just a moment. And obviously the porting slot there where you would charge it. So this isn't wireless charged at the moment. Okay, so let's just move on a slide or two. So some of the specs, again, I appreciate you can't see that because that's quite small. One of the things that's unique to this headset is the fact that it's gesture controlled. So VR, I think, is, well, the conversations that we're having with teachers, and I'm sure you guys have had Google Expeditions come in and other companies as well, but some of the experiences that the children are going to experience will be self-led, and some of them will be teacher-led. So in primary schools, it's going to be more tend, I think, towards being teacher-led. So maybe you started a topic that could be the Egyptians. So it's a new topic, and you say to the children on Monday morning, right kids, let's go and have a look inside a pyramid. So you could upload a VR experience, children could put on the headsets, and then they could do what they need to do within that. I can show you the functionality of that in just a moment. When it's self-led, as you can cache, as a teacher, you can push out VR experiences onto this device. It will cache onto the device, so the children can only see what you've pushed out to the device and when it caches. And then when they look through it, they can activate different icons that will appear in the list. So, you know, there's a video on our website, which is ClassVR.com. Essentially, when you look through the viewfinder, there'll be a circle of icons. You tip your head to the left, they'll spin to the left. You tip your head to the right, they'll spin to your right. And you'll also see a white dot as a child. And the children pick this up really easily. You put the white dot, it follows your eye tracking, put the white dot over the icon, and then you just make a simple gesture control, which is literally that. So it's using the camera at the bottom, and it's just a very simple pinch mechanism. So, you know, sometimes the children put it up there, so you have to guide them the first time, but they pick it up really easily. And it's, you know, they'll do it from right to left or whatever. And that will launch that particular VR experience. So they could go from being in a First World War trench, they could be on the surface of the moon, they could be going on the Great Wall of China, they could be doing all sorts of things. Or you could have it within a topic, and you might have several different experiences all related to mountains or rivers or whatever it is that you're doing with those particular children. But the gesture control is absolutely unique to us at the moment. Okay, so when the children want to come out of an experience when they're cached on here like this, then to the bottom right-hand corner down there, all they do is shake their head, and that will take them back to the home screen, so then they can select another one. Okay. This one here obviously hasn't got a head strap on, but maybe they would have a head strap. So doing that is a really simple gesture to do. It does have buttons on the side, but if you push out content through the portal, which I'll show you in a moment, it disables the buttons on the side, so you haven't got to worry about accidentally touching something you shouldn't. That button there, the forward button, when it's self-led, will always take them back to the home screen as well. So, you know, after I've finished talking, before you go, if you want to have a quick look through this, it's fine. My team's got a box here as well, so we'll have plenty of devices for you all to try. Also in the middle there, can you see there's a little motion sensor on there, because we're aware of the battery life on all the devices. So as soon as the headset comes off the head, it'll put that tablet into standby mode. The batteries on these will last 5, 6, 7 hours easily with cost of use. The battery's really good. To charge up, they charge up in that orange box over there. It's a charging unit, it's on wheels. It holds 8 devices. We sell them in sets of 8. And just like the other devices, there's a little focusing wheel on the top that you can focus in and out with. That's just really simple. The foam, which you see on here, is slightly different. The foam on the actual devices is wipeable. This is kind of pickable. So these are the ones from BET. So it's just isn't going to work in a classroom. It will be a different sort of cleanable foam that you'll see. And also the optics can be unscrewed and they can be cleaned as well to make sure that they're hygienic. So you can do that from every day or so. Okay, let's just move on. So the portal. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the portal. I've actually got it live as well. So one of the things that I think we've learned over the years, especially with our LearnPad tablets, we had a portal for that. We have a management system that manages the devices so teachers can put one up on the screen, full screen. You can switch them all on and off, a bit like Impero and NetOps does, but a very simple version of that for teachers to use. But we wanted to make the VR content even simpler for teachers because we're all about reducing barriers and making it a really slick thing for teachers to use, because we know if we don't, then teachers just haven't got the time to invest in learning things. I think virtual learning environments are a prime example of that. Great, but just be way overdeveloped, and then teachers think it's just too much to learn. So for this, whether you're a primary school teacher, a secondary school teacher, or maybe you're an FE, because we're selling these across all phases of education at the moment, it just needs to be really, really slick. Okay. So we've gone very much for a playlist where you just simply click and drag. And we've got 540 virtual reality experiences already provided. Bunch some of those into typical topics. And what also we've done is that we've created, for teachers, a folder. And within that folder are some lesson plans and profiles. We did a lot of research. We did some focus groups with teachers. And the teachers would say, the best way in the world, if you put it on your website, that's great, but do you know what? I'm probably not going to download it. So, but if you send it to me in paper format, which is a bit of an analogy for us because we're a .com company and we're going back to paper. But we provide all schools that buy into ClassVR with a folder that gives you all your instructions, but also gives those lesson support ideas. So it talks about how you could use that in a cross-curricular format. It matches it to the national curriculum in primary schools. There is lots of guidance to a teacher that possibly has never ever put a VR headset on in their life as to what it is and how it could be used as a learning experience. And I think for me, VR is all about the teaching and learning. It's all about the hook for learning as well. So these come from every school that invests in ClassVR. Everybody will get a folder. Put that down there. On top of that, though, so it's one thing us providing content. Really, we're a hardware manufacturer, and we've got people that work for us that are education specialists that all come from different levels of education. So we've had those people providing content before, and they're writing the lesson profiles now. But really, I think anything that teachers use or we've had before just needs to be flexible, whether it's primary or secondary, really. So not only do you have our content, but for schools, you can go to YouTube and you can download content from YouTube. You drop it into 4K downloader. There's an easy method in which you upload it to the portal here, and it can be pushed straight out into the headsets. And it needs to be in an equine rectangular file format. Have you heard of that? No, that was a new one to me until a year ago. So often the VR experience is equine rectangular, EQIRE, rectangular file formats. So it's a recognised file format. Convert it, and then you can push it straight out. On the headset here, I've got one that I downloaded from, which is a GoPro one, which is all about rhino conservation. The quality is really good. GoPro's 360 camera was quite interesting because it was like a cube of about 12 cameras all stuck together. I don't know if you've seen that at all. But those, there's lots of VR experiences like those on YouTube, which the other guys alluded to earlier. I think you have to be careful because there's a lot of stuff on there you wouldn't want to put in front of children, but also there's some good education stuff on there that you could do. But really for teachers, it just needs to be really slick and easy for them to do. So we try to to make that easy for them to do. And on top of that, you can actually create your own content. And this is the interest that we're getting, not only from primary schools, very much in secondary schools, and really in FE as well. They really like the fact that you get a 360. How many of you have got a 360 camera in school? No one. No one. Well, it's a brave prediction, but I predict that a 360 camera will be this year's Christmas present. If I could sell them on Amazon, I would do. Because they started to come out last year. If you saw them on the adverts at Christmas at TV, Samsung did one. Well, Facebook has now got its 360 live channel. So if you go off to a racetrack, or if you're going to a wedding, if you wanted to, you could stream it live over your Facebook channel if you wanted to. But for a school, if you imagine that, when I think back, which was a long time ago when I went to school, the things that most I can remember about school are some of the trips that I went on to. And the reason I can remember them is because I felt them, because I was there, I was involved in it, I was immersed in it, which is kind of what VR is all about, really, is that hook for learning, but also you're totally immersed in something. So it kind of, in some ways, it enables you to memorize it and remember those experiences. So if you can think, schools go on school trips where you're going to Flanders at secondary school, or Ypres or somewhere like that, or as a primary school you're going to a local museum, or you're going down to London, or wherever it is, you take a 360 camera with you, take some video imaging with you, you can bring that experience and push that, bring that back into the classroom so the children can have that same virtual reality experience as if they were there, because it will be just as if they were there. So just to summarize that, we've got our content, so we've got 540 virtual reality experiences, we've got 10 AR as well. We're going to have 50 AR by the end of the year. We're adding more content, we've got more content partners that are talking to us at the moment. Some really good conversations going on about some really inventive stuff around maths as well. Who would think maths and virtual reality? There's some really exciting stuff going on with that. You've got obviously content through channels like Google and whatever, and YouTube, plus you can create your own. And by the way, Google Expeditions works on these devices too. Okay. We're not an authorized dealer of Google yet, but we're on the road to having that sort of authorized dealer accreditation that we need. And we're doing that because we know we're going to sell these heavily, not only in the UK, but also abroad as well. Okay, let me just push on a bit further. Am I okay for time, Chris?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so on this particular example here on the slide, I picked out rivers, and then there's a collection of rivers, and all I've done is literally drag that across, drag that icon straight into that box there. And from there, what I can do is I can sort it. So just like a music playlist, you can drag things up and down, just literally click and drag it. Or there's you can't see it on the screen here, but you can also put it into the bin. So if you only want 3 things on there, you can just dump the rest into a bin, and then you can just have those 3 experiences that you push out. So it's kind of click and drag. It doesn't get a lot simpler than that, really. And then on the teacher screen will look like this. So when you've got your laptop or your PC attached to your board, then you'll get the full VR experience. So the previous tab was on plan because I was planning the VR experiences. This one's on deliver. So I've just clicked onto deliver. There it is, the first virtual reality experience. And just to click play, and then it will push it out over the wireless network to those devices that are included on in that classroom. So it will overwrite whatever's on there, and all the children will see is what's being pushed out onto that device. Okay, so I'll have to go on to the next one there. So in this instance, the kind of teacher is leading it now. So we're doing something on rivers. Oops, come back. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, can't see. So we can't see that. That's okay. We'll go live. It's fine. So just to use that example again, obviously something just if I go for mountains this time, type in mountains. If I spelled it right, it would be good. Okay, so I click and drag, it populates. I can resort things straight away. I just click away. Okay, just click. We'll move that one up. It says, there we go. And then as soon as I click on deliver, I can click deliver, and then I can skip through and push those experiences out. Now the other thing I can do is that I can create dynamic hotspots as well. So just like the other devices that you can do with Google Expeditions. So for us, none of the hotspots are embedded. So in some VR experiences, some of those hotspots are already there. And as a teacher, you can't change them. They're embedded in that virtual reality experience. With these, you can create a hotspot absolutely anywhere. So to give you an example, if you were in a pyramid and you were saying to the children, okay, right, we're inside this pyramid, let's all have a look at the sarcophagus. So you find the sarcophagus, click on that, and then on the children's devices, you'll have an arrow, and you'll also have like a little comet trail. So hopefully you'll be able to see everybody focusing across. Because all the devices are connected on the same network, you'll also be able to see them all twinkling around, all looking at, hopefully consuming the sarcophagus or the hieroglyphics, whatever it is you want them to be looking at. There's always one soul that's probably at the other end of the page, but or at the end of the screen, but you'll know who they are because you'll identify who's on which device. Which brings me to this actually. So this is a development that is with our tablets. So on the virtual reality, on the bottom there are a set of tools, and one of those tools is a QR key scanner. So with our tablets, the children would scan their QR key, logs them into the network, creates that network path to their folder, and it's just simple. So you can actually do the same for the VR headsets. But we've kind of left it optional, because in reality, if you're a teacher, you're doing things quickly, you don't want to be sitting there with 8 virtual reality headsets waiting for the children to scan their particular QR key. It's another barrier to do that. We've done it so teachers that want to do it have got that flexibility to do it. You can rename these into 1 to 8 if you wanted to, and then you can push those out. There's also at the bottom here, there's a class view. So if you wanted to, you could view the thing you're working now. You could view each device and you can see what everybody was looking at separately. We'll just go to the plan tab here. You see we've got Class Cloud there. So Class Cloud, there's 100 gig of Class Cloud. So we provide schools with 100 gig of Class Cloud. Our servers are in the Republic of Ireland at the moment. What will happen after Brexit is we'll probably come over to Slough. But at the moment they're in the Republic of Ireland. So if you wanted to upload your own content, as a teacher, it would sit up there in Class Cloud, and you could open it from there and drag it into your portal and push it out through the wireless network. So you got any questions on that so far? I'm not sure. Yeah.
If a teacher was to upload something into ClassCloud, who would have ownership of it?
The teacher would have ownership of it because each teacher would have their own account. This is a web-based portal, so the teacher would have ownership of that. So another teacher couldn't delete it.
No, I mean legally speaking.
Legally speaking, so who would have? Well,
would that be property of the school, or would it be
no,
you?
No. It would be the title to that data is with the school. It doesn't belong to us, 100%. We already do that with the LearnPads. So anything a teacher creates with the LearnPads, it's important that you own that data, or as a school, you own that data. We don't. Yeah, sure.
Can you share a playlist with the teacher then? If each playlist is their own account, it's an easy way of passing on to all the people in the department.
Okay, so not at the moment, but ideally, yes, is what we would like to do. Within the LearnPad environment, we can do that. I think because this is very new and developments are ongoing, it's certainly something we want to do. And also to be able to share, if you're in a multi-academy trust group or you're linked to local schools, it would be great if you found something really good that you could share with another school. So we can do that with the LearnPads already, just using a QR key if you're another LearnPad school. So the ability to do this, we want to do that as well. One of the things I often get asked is, okay, so, I'm in this pyramid, so I want to be able to walk through it. Okay, so at the moment, it's a 360 view, so you can look around, you can see everything going on. So a lot of the virtual reality experiences, just like Google, are in this sort of 360 sphere, if you like. We have got some that are video, and we have got some where the scenes change. And I've got a variety on those on that device there that I can show you. But I think, one of the things we are working with is a hand controller. I mentioned that you can attach one connected to the Bluetooth at the moment. That's going to be the next thing, where you're going to be able to interact with some of those images as well. So I know that our Chief Technical Officer is working on that every day, so that won't be too long before coming away as well. And who knows where that could go. We're looking at, the guy showed the Google Tango stuff, which is really cool. So that would be quite interesting too, as to how that creates. But I think for VR is all about the hook for learning, and it's about engagement. And that's for a teacher, whether you're at primary school or you're at secondary school, you're looking to get, or even at further education college, you're wanting to get the kids, hooked up for learning. And I've done several presentations where schools have brought in their digital leaders. And it's interesting that a lot of those kids, 99% of them, are already there with VR. The kids already know about VR. So whether they've got an older brother that's got a Sony PlayStation or whatever, they already know about it. And I've done sessions where the children said, "Oh, is that an Oculus?" It's not quite an Oculus, no, it's not quite that. But I think it's going to be the children that will drive it. And I think it's going to be a major thing in our lives. I think it's going to be as big as radio and TV. It's going to be there. Netflix, I don't know, did you know that Netflix have started to commission stuff in VR? IKEA have a VR channel now. They're working on that as well. So it's going to be part of our lives. I think it's going to be absolutely major. Okay.
How much is your the headset?
Okay, that's what we call a buying signal. Okay. So that's a really interesting question. It's a good question.
Plus
So
the license to use.
yeah. So the portal here. So this is a site license. So it doesn't matter how many devices you have. If you're a primary school, it's £249 a year. So and for a secondary school, it's £499 a year. Same for an FE college. But you get all the content. You get the ability to deliver and push out content through the portal. Plus any new content that comes on board, you'll get that as well. Plus any developments that we make to enhance this will come free of charge to you as well. If it's I think probably at some point we'll make our own, or we'll commission our own 360 camera. It's got to be on the cards, I think, because we're getting asked for it so much. And the hand controller, because it's hardware, that will come with a cost as well. For a set of 8, you're talking £1,999 for a set of eight devices. So £2,000, 249 or 499. We also do installation and training. Yeah, the key to any of this is all about implementation, and I think over the years we've got a lot better at that. I think if you get off to a good start, then I think the devices get used and you get away from them just staying in the cupboard and never being used again. So it's all about the implementation, but it's all about ongoing support as well. That's really absolutely key to it. So the training is $399 for a half day. Is that kind of where you thought it would be, or did you think it would be more or less? Or?
I suppose there is a firmware to be used on this handset. Is it easy to
yeah, so okay, so firmware, there's a method. You can't see it on this particular screen here, but you can push out updates to the devices, and you can do that across your wireless network to every single device. You don't have to do it individually. Any other questions? Okay. Something sometimes that people ask is that, how many devices do I need? So we're in this time where there's not a lot of money about. Money's very tight because it's the nature of where we are. But it's really interesting. So I've got some teachers that would say, well, if it's a new topic, I want every child to have that experience because that's the easiest thing to do. Which are £2,000 for 8, and you're going to need 4 of those because you've got 30 children in the class. But we've got schools that have bought 4 sets, and that's the way they want to run it. And maybe they've had a good bit of carryover, or they've put money aside, or they've raised money through some other means. We've got some teachers that will say, actually, I have a set of 8, and what I'll do is I'll do a carousel. I'll work it around so these children have it for 10 minutes, and I'll just go around the class and work it as a carousel. And primary schools are really used to doing that. Primary school teachers are used to doing that carousel with different abilities in their classroom. Secondary schools tend to want 1 each, if I'm honest. But by far the most common purchase, it's actually 1 between 2. So often they'll go for 2 sets. And in a lot of cases, again, because it's the nature of the market at the moment, it's often funded by PTAs as well. So PTAs might buy 1 set and the school will buy 1 set. So 1 between 2 works really well because your children can work, they can converse, one could try it on, the other one could ask them questions and swap over and then feedback afterwards as well. So 1 between 2 is typically the way to go. So if you've got any sort of technical questions, you guys are all very techy, aren't you? So Anyone got any technical questions that I try and challenge me with? Is there anything you want to know that I haven't told you about?
What's the resolution?
What's the resolution? It's a very good question. Okay.
You asked.
So I'm going to take you, because you're on our website here, you go to ClassVR, give you all your specs down here. It's right at the bottom. Can you see that okay? So those are all the tech specs. So resolution is 2560.1440. The spherical lens, 3.5 stereo jack. One of the things that also is quite interesting is the ability to be able to stream things live as well. So not quite there yet, but very shortly we are going to be there. So, you know, I've done it in FE colleges where they're doing a vocational course, and I suppose you would work in secondary schools as well. Maybe, you know, maybe some of the children are thinking about becoming an architect or something. You could actually take a camera, take it to an architect's office, so they can get that experience of working, what it would be like to work in an architect's office, and then bring that back to the classroom as well.
Can they be used as a monitor? Play movie off the USB?
Yeah, I guess the easiest way would be to stream it over the wireless network, really, because you've got 16 gig on there. So, yeah, we don't, you know, in terms of virtue in the classroom, you know, when we've done focus groups with teachers, again, it's kind of a 4, 5, 6 minute thing. You know, maybe a bit longer at secondary schools, but in primary schools, it's kind of a quick. Okay, right, everybody's going to experience it. Now we move on, or if you carousel it around and do it that way.
Does it support 3D content?
Does it support 3D?
3D content.
Well, it supports AR, so yes, you can pull out, you know, the image I've got in my bag, I can show you one of a heart that pops up off the page, so you can spin it around and see it in 3D as well. The AR is quite interesting, again, because, you know, do you guys use AR already? Not really? So it's quite weird, because again, when I speak to teachers, you show them the AR and you show them the VR, they're kind of blown away by the AR. It should be the VR, really. But the AR content is really good. So, you know, we've got, as I said, we've got 10 AR experiences across subject areas with lesson support. We're going to have 50 by the end of the year. But of course, you can run other Android apps that support AR as well. So Erasmus would work on the device fine. Erasmus is the most common one that's used. But Quiver would work on it. There's one called Flipper as well. That's quite good. Have any of you got VR devices in school at the moment? No. Have any of your teachers asked you about VR yet? No. And that's, again, I think Google are doing a great job, by the way. Google Expeditions, when they're going in with their Pioneer School program. How many of you have had Google come in? Yeah, so great. So Google, you know, kids will have a blast. I'm sure your kids had a blast when they came in. I think for me also, it's a big educational piece for the teachers, because a lot of the teachers have heard of VR, but don't quite know what it is. So I think, you know, having Google to come in and do a bit of an explanation about what VR is and how it can be used in teaching and learning certainly helps, because when teachers put the headsets on, then the ideas start to come and they're firing away, thinking, oh, yeah, I could use that. I could use that for war poetry, or I could use that, I could use that perspective in Key Stage 4, or I could use that for, I don't know, maybe I could use that for debate or something, or creative writing or whatever it is. And the fact that more and more content is coming on, literally every week, is coming on. I get alerts on my phone from Discovery Channel, National Geographic. There's just tons of stuff that's coming in VR, and the ability to push that out, I think it's going to be really, really strong. Does anybody want to try the headset on? Good man.
We need to start from the top.
Okay.
So
Yeah, sorry. Just hoping, Chris, I need to start wrapping it up, but just to...
we can have a play at the back while Chris does
Yeah,
score.
HTTPS,
There you go. I was going to take it's got a strap.
I appear to be on a volume slide.
Okay. That's right.
It's not quite the immersive experience I was promised.
We're ready to look
Was it a
at
World War One one?
Yeah, so that's a World War trope. So you think you could use this for creative writing, war poetry, perspective, debate.
I'm not being shot at though. It appears to be the
Yeah, well,
Christmas Day armistice.
Well, there's a great one of, we showed it at BET actually when we had the Better Ring this year. We did one of the streets of Aleppo. So this is meant for obviously A-level students, and that level wasn't meant for primary schools. But it was a child walking through the streets of Aleppo with gunshots going on from the background and bombs going off. And that was really atmospheric and really, that's a really cool one to show. Anyway, just going to wrap up here. So if you have any questions, then Wasim or myself will be here around at the end. Love you to try on a headset before you go, because there's some really cool stuff on here, and you'll be able to see the difference, I think, between that and ones that require a mobile phone device to go with. Okay, thank you very much.